Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to the architecture of Cyberpunk 2077. This time, we're gonna go take a look at the district of Charter Hill. So just to recap where we are. On the eastern side of the city, Charter Hill is this zone here, right? On one half, we have a residential district, an expensive upper-class residential district, and then in the other half we have an industrial area. So I'm gonna go walk through the residential part first, and then we'll move on to the industrial stuff later. So immediately we see bright, shiny glass towers. Not bad. Let's walk down here. There's a big terrace there, right? Look at that. There's a big terrace, and there's a big wall above it too. So I believe these are apartment blocks. I think they're apartment blocks. They rise up above the terrace. Look at those down there. There might be a mix of commercial and apartments. Although I think it mostly is. I think it mostly is apartments. As we come in here, we see very clean streets. And we have bridges above too. And if you pay attention, there's no doors up to those buildings at street level. They're all accessed via these bridges, and these bridges go to the ground into these buildings here. There's a monorail track there, and I think further ahead there's an NCAT station up there. So it's all connected, but you have to like go through a building and then across the bridge, and then you get into the residential towers. So it's quite difficult to get up there. You have to pass through multiple layers of security, and we can't get up there from the ground like this. That's not gonna stop us though. As we look down here, we have fancy shops selling jewelry. We have some food places over there. Look how clean everything is. I mean, compared to the other parts of the city, right? There's no rubbish, there's no crime, there's no graffiti. Look how clean everything is. So this is the nicest part of town. If by nice you mean safe and crime-free and clean. It's also kind of sterile, right? There's not much character, there's not much spirit. It's just big money. It's crazy. Look at this. Compared to the other parts of the city. So here's where all the rich people live. And they have so much money here that they can keep the streets safe and clean. Unlike everywhere else. But I guess that's the point, right? You like get to a place like Charter Hill and you realize that the city doesn't have to be dirty and unsafe. If they wanted to, they could make the city clean and safe. They just don't. Because they did it here, right? If they can do it here, if they can clean up Charter Hill, why can't they clean up all the other parts of the city? Because they don't want to, right? Oh, look how safe everything is, that's crazy. Marble Bank. Everything serves rich people. There's the NCAT station. In fact, let's go look at the NCAT station. The NCAT station presumably links all the parts of the city. It is a public transport system. How's it look here? What's that? Huh? There's a little bit of rubbish on the ground. Oh, how shiny this is. I mean, there's people just sitting around. Oh, there's a little bit of trash. I guess the NCAT station is a little bit dirty. Look at that. Charter Hill, Westbrook. These plebs. These plebs and their public transit. But I mean, once you get out of here, it's pretty clean, right? Right, crossing the street again, back over here. What does that say? Jewelers? Hofeld Jewelers. It's supposed to be jewelers, right? And here with some real meat. Real meat, what does that say? You won't taste the difference. Hey, look at the furniture. Look how square everything is. Everything's modern and clean. Incredible. And this terrace, there's no stairs up or anything. Those towers loom above us. Oh, and also notice how like nothing overhangs the street, nothing's leaning in. So all the buildings are very politely staying back and not covering the street. And you don't have like streets above streets. So the pedestrian experience is quite pleasant. Everything is so normal here compared to the rest of Night City. And like there's a strip of light down here too, look at that, that's kind of fancy. So we're trying to make our way onto the terrace, right? If we come in here, so this is Japantown over there. We've reached the edge of the district. So there's this down here, this... oh, there's a tiger claw. Oh, that's kind of funny. There's a tiger claw tag, but we are right next to Japantown. And you notice there's no staircase. There's no staircase up to the terrace. And there's rubbish down there, so as we get to the edge of the district, things get dirtier. And this road does not connect down there, but we do have the power of parkour. And there we go. So we're gonna parkour our way up to the terrace, and look at this grass. Wow, look at this grass, it's so green. And look at those guys doing Tai Chi on the really green grass. Man. Rich people have green grass. Not sure about these people though. Do these guys live here? Alright, so these are the buildings. Not sure what that is. That was a little bit commercial. There's no labels on any of these buildings though. Is that a logo? Hold on. Maybe that is a label. Is that a logo? Or a sign? No, it's just an advertisement. So we're on the terrace now, right? We are separated from the plebs down below. And this place continues to be extremely clean. We have a bit of a food court. And the buildings are all copper black. Black metal, a little bit of glass, and a lot of sky bridges. So you never have to walk on the street. Right? And these are all joined to the buildings over in Japantown as well. So like it just links all the way through. And if we get to these buildings, there's no labels on these either, so we don't know what these are. I think they're apartments. I can't imagine that this would be a commercial district because of how residential this feels. Like this feels like a public park. We have kids.
Embarrassed to invite your coworkers over? Apartments with 3 wooden floors available for rent today. Show them you.
Is there anything for us across the bridge? No. But the NCAT station is down there, and the NCAT line is actually up here. So the implication, I believe, is that you can directly access this area, these buildings, from the NCAT, right? Like you just come out of here, right? We can't go in. But presumably there's elevators, and you can get up here from the NCAT station. As you come around here, this place continues to be immaculate, extremely clean. This is how rich people live in Night City. Another tower there, a bridge, and like more bridges. It's a shame we never actually get to go into those bridges. Like imagine if these buildings were all accessible and you could just walk through the buildings across the city as well. I guess that'll be a little bit too much. Too much work for the game designers. Look at this place. I can't believe how clean this is. Another building there, another bridge. And then we get to here. I'm not sure about these dumpsters, because this is about as far away from the road as you can get. So how do the rubbish trucks come in? Maybe it's a barge, maybe it's a flying barge that comes in to pick up the rubbish. But here we do see some rubbish collection problems. Maybe the rubbish collection is not going because these dumpsters are overfilled already. A tiny bit of rubbish issue, but obviously nowhere near as bad as the rest of the city. These buildings, I don't have much to say about these. It's just like blank towers that don't really say anything, right? Back here we have landing pads for aerial vehicles. The aerial vehicles look like this up close, by the way. So it still looks like a car because the anti-gravity drives, they look kind of like wheels. I mean, there's no reason why a flying car needs to look like that. But I guess it makes it more readable, right? So you look at it and you know it's a car, even though it's a flying one. If they made it, you know, a completely different shape, then you wouldn't know what you're looking at. Back here, there's some sort of machinery. Not sure what this stuff is. Some sort of machinery. No idea what that is. And those are the big apartment towers, joined by bridges, so you never have to touch the ground if you don't have to, if you don't want to. And look at this park. It's so beautiful. It's so clean. It's so clean and shiny. It's crazy. Biotechnica. And you have to parkour in here. So this is a gated community, right? Although it's giant. Like this is a private area that you can't get into without permission. And maybe that's the only reason why it's so clean, because you keep up the riffraff, who knows. Compare this to like a reconciliation park in the Glen. Alright, so here's a service vehicle. How does that vehicle get in here? Around there, maybe? At the back we have basketball court, but nobody's actually playing basketball. More aerial vehicle landing pads.
Remember to take only certified neural.
Although, you know, counting the number of landing pads and the size of those towers, these vehicles have to park somewhere else, right? Can they park here? There's not enough parking space for everybody in the towers. I assume like they drop people off and then they go and park somewhere else. I don't think we've ever seen aerial vehicle parking, what that looks like in the game. Even the basketball courts has a blue highlight around it. I mean, I can't really say anything about these towers because they don't tell you anything about what they are, right? Very corporal in that sense. Completely enclosed. You can't tell what's inside. It's uncommunicative, and in that way it feels more unfriendly. Maybe this is a shopping center, because there's a whole lot of signage. I mean, it'd be a huge shopping center if it is. Like maybe it's a private shopping center for the people who live here. Because otherwise, why are there so many advertisements on it? There's nothing over this way. Coming around here. What are these screens? Some sort of graphs. Is this like finance data? Do people just sit here and trade stocks? Maybe they do. Alright, coming back to this edge, we want to come around the end here too, though. Let me run a little bit. So there's the entry into these buildings. Again, there's no signage on the buildings, so we don't know what it is. Back behind here, we have a bit of a security place. Look at these. So I think they have a security garrison guarding this place at all times. We can't see inside, I don't think. Oh, can I jump? No. No. Not really. So we don't know what the inside looks like, but I believe these are guard posts with aerial vehicles to get people to where they're needed quickly. I mean, they look very futuristic. They almost look like spaceships, right? Not sure if they need to look like spaceships. Alright, so that's this, what should we call it? This gated apartment complex. And we just need to parkour back outside. Look how green the grass is. And there's no way up here. Right, there's no way to walk into this terrace from street level. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to jump, excuse me. Never mind. Let me just come up back here.
Take your sexy ass somewhere else.
Right, and back on the streets. Yeah, there's a whole separate world up there. Only for rich people. Okay, we're gonna move to the south. Oh, there's like a heavy security patrolling the streets at all times as well. So coming down to the next street, the buildings are smaller, but they still look residential, right? There's the balconies. That looks like a big penthouse apartment above a smaller building below. Could be like a mix of commercial and residential. Those look like apartments, there's balconies on all of those. But again, it's like the black and the glass. The black metal and tinted glass. And like all the buildings have the same blue lighting. So it's very uniform, right? Okay. So the difference between like a planned development and an organic development. In a planned development, it would end up looking a bit like this, where everything looks kind of the same, because the same people built everything, right? Whereas in organic development, you would have a whole lot of different styles of buildings, a lot of different colors. So if you look over at Japantown, that looks like an organic development because it's all different shapes and all different colors and all different sizes. Whereas here it's a lot more uniform. I mean, there are different shapes, sure, but they're all the same kind of rectangles, the same kind of glass, the same kind of black metal. So this looks more uniform. Looks like, you know, a big corporation came in and built the whole thing at once. Or maybe, you know, several big corporations came in. Whereas that, it looks like a lot of different people over a long period of time kept adding more and more and more stuff there, right? So, like, when you look at something, you can kind of tell how it developed. And this is a much more planned development. Some of the newer cities in China, the planned developments, they have this kind of feel, like it's very clean, it's very new, but there's a certain sort of uniformity to it, because it was all built at the same time. Alright, do we have anything to say about this? Not really. So that's the street level entrance into those towers. I guess we should point out that these buildings have street level entrances, because that's significant, right? It's not as closed off as the buildings over in Corpo Plaza or even downtown. You know, like in Corpo Plaza, you feel like the corpos don't really control the streets because they're closed off from the streets, so they're kind of scared of the people on the streets. Whereas here, they're open to the streets. And you do see a lot of police around. There's more police over there. I guess the implication is that the corporals control the streets here, so the streets are safe for the corporals in Charter Hill. Not sure how that's possible though, because there's no gates or anything. If a gang wants to come in, they can come in. Just want to look around a little bit, see if there's anything worthwhile. Delamain. This might be a Delamain office building. Delamain is a taxi company. What are these people doing? Fancy lights, fancy entrance, but otherwise not much going on. Yeah, no. It's all very clean and shiny, but there's really not much going on, right? Coming forward a bit. So here, that says Wild Blue Hotel and Spa. So I guess that means some of these are hotels. Not sure if this is a good hotel district though. Maybe it is, because Japantown's right next door. And Japantown is an entertainment destination. So maybe the hotels serve tourists going to visit Japantown? Possibly. And these would be rich tourists. Up there you see the staircases, right? So up there we have elevated pedestrian area, another one, and then another one, and there's big staircases joining them. Let's go back across to the other side and climb those staircases. So we have a multi-story pedestrian area. Let's go take a look. So usually this sort of thing only makes sense if there are a lot of people and a lot of shops, which in this case there aren't. But there's a lot of billboards, but these are not shops. So if there's like a big multi-story shopping center, then having like a big staircase like this joining everything would kind of make sense. But as we come up, I'm okay, there are some shops here. Jinguji is a fashion store. And then we have a bank. Those are lawyers. So there are businesses up here. And then we get up to this level. See, there's no shops here. Why is there a level here if there are no shops? You see what I mean? There's some vending machines of all things. Usually you would expect a lot more shops in order to justify building a big pedestrian area like that. Doesn't really say anything. Continuing up, the end card station. The upper level of the end card station is there, and I guess if we go through the end card station, we'll go up and go back to the residential towers on the other side, right? So I guess this bridge is supposed to connect all the way across. It doesn't connect for us though, so for the gameplay purposes, we can't go through the buildings. But the implication is that, you know, if this was a real city, then you can go through the buildings and access all the different buildings inside. Maybe there are shops and it's just not in the game. I'm trying to look up there, like one of those. Are those apartments? I think they are apartments. Up there. There's trees on top of the buildings too. So that's kind of fancy. Trees require soil, and trees themselves are kind of heavy. So if you want to put trees on your roof, you need extra structure to hold up the weight of the trees. If you just have like small plants, this grass is not that hard because, you know, grass is not very heavy. A tree is quite heavy. So if you have multiple trees on the rooftop, you need to make sure your structure is strong enough to hold it up. Otherwise you collapse your whole roof.
Hello, I was just on the line with Candace, but the call dropped.
This path, this bridge comes over here, and I think this is just a cafe. What does that sign say? Yagami Markets. It's a fast food place, I guess. It's a bit strange. Yeah, I think they didn't do this quite right. Imagine if you can like go into that building through here, and then imagine if that also goes through that building into there instead of just a fast food shop. You just go straight in, and imagine like all the buildings are joined up. That would make a lot more sense. But they didn't put all that detail in. I want to see what's up there. Like one of those offices? Not sure. Apartments? There's a garden on top again, more trees on the rooftops. Right? Right. Alright, let's go back down to street level.
It's just
There's almost too much, right? In fact, there is too much. There's too much pedestrian space and not enough stuff to actually access. Not enough shops. Alright, back down here. What is that? There's a bit of a park back here, but we'll come back to this.
still one thing. The monocrystalline
That... I'm not sure what that tower is either, or that. It's, I mean, I keep saying that, and it's actually a design choice. As we say, the megacorps don't really explain themselves to you, and they don't really communicate to you, right? So it's just a big tower, and you don't know what it is, and that's the whole point of these megacorps. I believe at some points in the story you can go in there, but we can't go in there anymore. We are no longer welcome. Yeah, no, we are no longer welcome. Alright, so this is the edge of the residential area. There's the industrial stuff. Again, we'll go look at those later. Got chrome. Okay, we're gonna go all the way south to the riverside. So we're gonna skip this little road. For now, we'll come back this way. Eden Plaza? Oh, with some shiny glass towers on this side. Look at these, look at this street. Look at these trees. This is how rich people live. Look at the streetscape. And not a single piece of rubbish to be seen.
closest thing to a glacial taste.
So, coming down to the river's edge, I think a lot of these are supposed to be hotels. Although I think there are more hotels than there really needs to be. Down at the waterfront, we do have a pedestrian promenade with food stalls. There is graffiti though, a bit of rubbish problem. And then we have a whole waterfront area, which would be nice if the river wasn't so polluted and if the opposite side was not an industrial district. So the scenery is kind of disastrous, nobody wants to look at that. But if the view was nicer, this would be quite nice. The river probably smells. Look at it. It's brown.
Got an eyeful? Now fuck off.
It's probably not a very nice place actually. Right next to this river. What are these? Food places? Very nice. This almost feels like a real city. You know, like the rest of Night City is just too crazy and too dirty and too messy.
You're not my type.
This is the sort of thing you might expect to find in a real city, right? In a waterfront area.
Considering renting or purchasing a niche for yourself or a loved one.
That goes through there.
You're going down with me. No! I'm not fucking joking!
Alright, under this bridge. And the walkway continues and then it ends about here. The staircases go up. Alright, and this is the end of the waterfront pedestrian area. It's kinda nice, except the view is not. Look at that though, crazy, right? Right, so what do we skip before? Wild Blue again? Hotel and Spa? That's a window hotel. Yeah, I think the implication is all of these are hotels. They're all kind of the same, right? Variations on the theme. Black metal, tinted glass. I guess they look out over the river, it's just the view's not that great, so... I'm not sure if I would want to live in these hotels. Alright, going this way. Well, actually, let me get up close to these things, see how it is. Even the median has grass on it.
Electronic orange. I got one.
And there's like
Suddenly, boom!
eaves covering the street, so you're not rained on as much. Like things like this,
The net runner.
it's not, it's like, you know how in the rest of the city
Depends how you look.
it's quite hostile to pedestrians. This is the opposite. This is hospitable to pedestrians, right? Like the building protects you from the sun and the rain as you're walking down the street. So this is the opposite of being hostile to pedestrians. I can't believe how nice this streetscape is. I mean, look at this. This is the sidewalk in Charter Hill. Alright, so we're nearing the Japantown again. Across the road there is Japantown. I want to start turning in here, right? So in between these streets, there's a bit of a pedestrian area. Let me come back here and look at the heavy police presence. We have places that are purely pedestrian. You don't have to deal with cars.
Salmon tart
It's been
from an
ages.
actual salmon farm.
And there's
Imagine
these
how
are
much
all
that must have
apartment
cost.
towers, right?
Oh, and I also
Apartment
saw
blocks?
Hiroshima Island.
Expensive apartment blocks. Pedestrian only access. I'm guessing there's underground car parks. Pedestrian only on street level. There's food places. Oh my god, this is so nice! I can't believe a place like this exists in Night City. But it's good that they put it in, just for the contrast, right? The fact that this exists makes you understand just how bad the rest of the city is. Let's see, coming back here. And these buildings are surprisingly permeable, right? Remember how the megacorps are completely closed off? And these buildings, you come in here, go underneath
Son of a
them.
bitch was lying from the start. Told me
There are
I
doors
was the first
there.
person he'd ever cheated on his wife.
And then back here we have a park. It is named, it's called Lele Park, L-E-L-E, Lele Park. Although it's more a shopping center than a park, right? Let me go down. The park is, there's a few trees, I guess. But mostly this is completely surrounded by shops. So it's called a park, but it's more like a shopping center. I mean, you didn't really think there'd be a park in a place like this with no shops, right? Let's get down there and take a closer look. Down here. Oh, this is kind of like Cherry Blossom Market, right? Remember Cherry Blossom Market over in Japantown? How like dirty and messy that was? So this is like the corpo version. It's the same idea. It's kind of sunken into the ground, and it's like full of shops. But this is just much cleaner and much more expensive. I mean, there's not too much to say about it. Like, all the trees are completely contained. And then there we have plants inside boxes. It's a park, but all the trees are very constrained. And really, mostly it's commercial, mostly it's business. Alright, so that's Lele Park. Very clean, very shiny, very expensive. And very artificial, right? Over here, the pedestrian space continues. There is a street here, but pedestrians have priority. Oh, the streets are kind of narrow too. We should talk about that, right? So when you design a street, you can make it easier for cars or easier for pedestrians, right? So this street, this is better for pedestrians because it's relatively narrow and the corners are tight. So if you wanted to make the roads easier for cars to navigate, imagine if this quarter circle here, you cut that back and you make it wider. Then the cars don't have to turn as tightly, so if you have a really tight corner, the cars have to like really slow down and then turn. Whereas if you have like a much further cut back, then the cars can just like smoothly go around. So it's easier for cars to turn if the radius is wider, where it's not as tight. But doing that means that a pedestrian crossing the road have to go further. So it's worse for pedestrians, but it's better for cars. And also, when the corner is tight like this, the car has to really slow down to make that turn because it's a tight turn. So the cars are slower, so it's safer for pedestrians because the cars aren't traveling as fast. Whereas if you have a wider turn, which is easier for cars, the cars can take that turn more quickly, and so it becomes more dangerous for pedestrians because the cars are traveling faster. So when you design a road, you have to, like, you have a trade-off between, do you make the road better for cars to drive on, or do you make the road better for pedestrians to walk on? And if you look at this street, like the size of it and the tightness of the corners, this is better for pedestrians to walk on. Whereas in the other parts of Night City, if you compare to some of the other places, a lot of the other places, they're better for cars to drive on, and so it's more hostile to pedestrians. If you remember how those are. I'm just thinking, should I go back and show you? No, I'm not gonna show you. But here, like, you have sharp 90-degree turns, narrow streets, and tight corners. And so the cars have to travel a lot more slowly and a lot more carefully, and pedestrians cross the road much more easily because the distance is, shorter to cross the road. Alright, so these hotels continue. Up here, on the bridge, El Cabanon. This is a restaurant and bar, I believe. There's a restaurant and bar just on the bridge, above the street. I guess there's more stuff over there. The kitchen is probably back there. But there's no front door, there's no gate. So the security here must be great because it's completely open. And it's fine, apparently. Back here we have a bit of a park. Fancy square geometric sculptures. There is graffiti over there though. I'm not sure what's going on there. Like, why does that exist? Why does that exist? doesn't seem to fit in with like how clean and how high security the rest of this district is. Like why does the graffiti exist? There is a Shinto priest meditating here. But there's graffiti. I'm not sure what they need. Why is there graffiti here? I'm not sure. There's rubbish too. I mean, sometimes what happens is you have rich kids. Maybe their parents are rich and powerful people, and so their kids don't get prosecuted by the police. Sometimes that happens. Maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe you have rich kids trying to rebel, but they're protected by their parents, so the cops don't do anything about them. Because otherwise, like how would this happen? There's cops everywhere. Like, how would somebody graffiti this place and get away with it? Right? Maybe they're rich kids who have protection from their parents. Alright, and that is the residential part of Charter Hill. Extremely shiny, extremely clean, and about as pleasant of a pedestrian experience as you're gonna get in Night City, right? You have parks, pedestrian plazas, the streets are favorable to pedestrians. It's safe. It's the opposite of everywhere else in Night City. It's the opposite of every other part of Night City. Okay, so moving on to the south. Towards the south we have some high-tech industry. Presumably there's not much pollution because it's high-tech industry. The Arroyo is dirty industry on the other side of the river. That's a different district. Let me come this way first. Crossing the road. And the first thing we have these like white buildings that slope back like this. If you read the signage, Kiroshi. In the game, Kiroshi Optics specializes in optical implants, so cybernetic eyes is what Kiroshi specializes in. So like very like small, delicate, high-tech equipment. So this is a high-tech industry, and I guess they are Japanese, because Kiroshi is Japanese. They have a bit of a shipping area here. I don't know if I'm allowed back here. Let me be a little bit careful. We have crates, we have trucks. I'm not sure there's all that much shipping actually going on. There's a gate there, I guess there's a warehouse back there. Extremely clean. I mean, white. I don't know about white roads. Because you imagine a lot of trucks go through here, right? And the thing with trucks is that the tires, they're not... You know, the tires rub on the road. And they leave bits of rubber on the road as they go. So you're gonna get tracks on a light-colored road like this. So I don't know if this is realistic. Like, as the trucks drive back and forth over and over again, eventually, like, it'll stay in the ground, right? Because the rubber tires, the whole point of rubber tires is that they wear away over time. So maybe this is not realistic. The fact that there's no stains on the road. Very clean, very modern, but not accessible to the public. Like, it looks a lot friendlier because of the light colors, but it's not any more Like, it's not any less opaque than the other megacorps, right? Kiroshi is a megacorp. And, like, it doesn't look obviously oppressive. But there's nothing down here, right? The pedestrians walk past. There's no way for us to access the interior. So how should I say it? It's polite, but still unfriendly. So over in Corpo Plaza, they're rude and unfriendly. Here it's polite, but it's still unfriendly. Politely unfriendly. Nobody's stopping us from coming in here though. Let's check out this Kiroshi campus. Again, the clean park-like settings. Very fancy. Oh, that guy got caught trespassing. Which is what we're doing, trespassing. Alright, there's a bunch of guards up there. I'm not gonna go up there. There's not that much to see up there anyway. The roads lead into underground car parks. And then over here there is an above ground car park. Oh. Never mind, I thought maybe we could just walk away. Alright, I'm just trying to get everyone right. That guy. Alright, got him. Well, I guess we are coming back here after all. Alright, so back here we have seating, vending machines. And then not too much else. I don't know if anyone from Kiroshi actually comes out here. Right, they have this big park-like setting out here, right? But it doesn't look like anyone actually comes out here. Here's the entry, I guess, into this building. It looks so clean. I don't think anyone actually comes out here. Like, what would you do here? Wait for your ride? Have lunch? I mean, if you have a park... So this is the Kiroshi campus. It's a high-tech company. You might imagine people would, like, come out for lunch, maybe take a break, go for a jog around the campus. Maybe. Do people do that? Is that what rich people do in these high-tech companies? In the real world, you can compare it with like the Google campus or the Apple campus. I might look that up actually. See what those look like in the real world. There's too many roads though, although maybe there's not that many cars. Like, it's not quite nice enough where you want to have lunch here. I'm just trying to think, like, would I have lunch here? No. I would want to have like more trees, more shade. Less cars. Maybe around here. But there's not enough seats here. Like, would you have lunch here, or is that weird? I don't know. There is a park down there, an actual park. You might have lunch down there. Alright, let me just take a brief moment, if I may. And can I look up the Google campus? The Googleplex. Corporate headquarters complex of Google. Window. Right, so the original campus Main campus in Mountain View, California. So it looks like this, right? So there's a lot of parks, park-like environments, and then there's like a central square, I guess, in there. What are those? Sports courts? Some sort of, is that tennis? Or what is that? I mean, would you... I guess you would sit on the lawn and have lunch, maybe. Let's check out these buildings, right? Oh, very interesting. It's very interesting because it's also opaque at pedestrian level. There's no pedestrian access into the buildings from here, right? It's a lot like Kiroshi, actually. Alright, so here's the main entrance. But you don't see very much. Oh, look at that. See, you would have lunch there. There you go. So in the Google campus, they do have like a garden. And there's a whole bunch of tables. Yeah, so this is where you have lunch. Outside in a park-like setting. Have a picnic. That's kind of nice. Look at that. So there's a garden here, and I guess this is not part of Google Campus out there. Notice how the natural landscape is brown, but they watered the lawn in here, right? How much water do you think it takes to make the grass this color as opposed to this color? There's the hoses there, look. You can see the hoses there. They water the lawn and the plants to make it look like that. Oh, there you go. Here's the Googleplex courtyard. And look, there's tables. Look, like I said, you have lunch out here. Right? Like lunchtime, you come out, you hang out with your friends, have a chat, and there's like chairs on lawns. I think these are artificial lawns. Are those vegetable gardens? I think they are. And tables and umbrellas have lunch out there. So I'm not crazy, right? You know, like I'm walking through the game and the first thing I think about is, well, would people have lunch out here? I'm not crazy, right? Because you go to the Google headquarters and you find that that's exactly what they do. Like they have open space outside, they put in tables for people to have lunch. So like here, there's too many cars, not enough tables for lunch. Alright. Continuing, going back to the street. And then coming out this way. What's going on there? So Kiroshi is also this stuff. This part here is also Kiroshi. If I can sneak in here without anybody shooting at me. So there, that goes underneath into those buildings on this side. I think this is like the actual headquarters. So I think there's offices, there's factories over that way, I believe. I'm just guessing and just looking at the outside of the buildings and what it looks like. You know, like when you have a lot of glass windows, it's probably offices. And then when you have like buildings that are more closed off and there's no windows, probably factories. This, I think it's like the main headquarters. Like this looks like a big public entrance, right? You come in here, it's like a big diagonal blocky shapes, and you come in into a big entrance. So this looks like the main public entrance. A little pretentious, to be honest. It's a little bit aggressive, a bit too big, but maybe that's what Kiroshi is. Pretentious. Big stone shapes. Pretending to be some sort of ancient Egyptian temple or something. And there it is, Kiroshi. Kiroshi Eye Implanto. Kiroshi Eye Implants. which is weird because Kiroshi is a Japanese word, but it's written in English. Eye implant is an English word, but they wrote that in katakana, in Japanese, which is like back to front. You'd imagine that Kiroshi would be would be in Japanese, and then eye implant would be in English. Anyway. So you come in here, very symmetrical, very big, and there's the main door, right? Extremely fancy. Big side areas, not sure what these are for. Maybe they make you wait out here. This does remind me a lot of descriptions of ancient temples. Ancient like Sumerian temples or something. Alright, so completely off track. A complete tangent. The ancient Sumerian temples, sun temples, especially the one to the goddess of love. Outside, so back then there was a custom called sacred prostitution. Well, that's how we interpret it out. It's prostitution, but it's like it's an obligation to the goddess. And the idea is that it's a passage, it's a rite of passage into adulthood, where you just have sex with somebody. So the girls, the young woman would wait at the entrance of the temple, and then a guy would just come along and just pick one of them, and they would have sex. And that's your rite of passage into adulthood. Of course, this was thousands of years ago, and so our records of it might not be completely accurate. But from what we understand, that's what happened, right? That's part of, you know, a girl becoming a woman. And losing your virginity in sacred prostitution was not counted as losing your virginity, because that's your payment to the goddess. Anyway, so that's what this reminds me of, these people waiting outside the temple. I don't know why I thought of that, anyway. But you know, what I mean is, look, this thing looks like a giant temple, right? And these people are waiting on the entrance. I mean, it doesn't have to be prostitution. Maybe they're waiting for an audience. It's kind of what it feels like. Maybe they're waiting for a job interview or something, I don't know. But the idea of making people wait outside, it's a power move, right? Right, when you are in charge, you make the other guy wait. Like that's the kind of power move that this is what this feels like. It's like, you know, they're waiting to go in. The power isn't there and these people are waiting on the power. Is what that feels like. Also, it's foggy again. Alright, let's keep going. And let's try to get past the fog. No. You know what, let's get back to morning. Okay. At the very edge of the Kiroshi complex, there is a garden, a proper garden. Japanese lanterns, Japanese trees. Let's see if there's any Japanese garden design principles at work here. There are seats. Would you have lunch here? Maybe. Oh, it's not just the garden neither. So to the side here, up these stairs. So here's the aerial vehicle landing pads for the Kiroshi building, right? There is a side entrance into the Kiroshi building, but I guess that's only for people who work there. So if you're a guest, you would park here, You'd walk down and around to the main entrance, right? And alternatively, you can step off and into the park. No, there are no Japanese garden design principles here. Is there water? Is there a pond? No? Or is there? No? Is there a view? Is there layering? No, no there isn't. I mean, it's an alright garden, it's kinda nice. Just not a lot of aesthetics. Just trying to figure out like what you look at when you sit on these seats. Yeah, no, it's not really designed. Alright, so there's the Kiroshi campus. And as we continue going southeast, the Charter Hill kind of fades away into the industrial character of Arroyo. Although technically that stuff is also Charter Hill. You see there's a big road there, right? So talking about roads being hostile to pedestrians. We get to here and it goes into a highway. And it becomes more hostile to pedestrians. And then the towers are uglier, thick concrete versus the graceful steel and glass over there. What's over here anyway? Fuyusuki and Macroware. Fuyusuki and Macroware I think are smaller corporations. And these guys don't really fit in Charter Hill. Like it looks like these guys are just here so they can put Charter Hill on their address. So there's like proper Charter Hill over there, and then this is like the poor side of Charter Hill, or the undeveloped side of Charter Hill, right? You can see how the roads kind of end, and this is right at the edge. And then beyond here we have a big ass highway. So the city ends here. And then there's some industrial stuff there, but that's more connected to Arroyo than actually a part of Charter Hill. And there's no more city that way. So right at the edge of Charter Hill, these guys are sneaking in here so they can put Charter Hill on their address for the prestige. But they're not actually a part of Charter Hill. Not really. We have a big transport. A shipping area. Just trying to figure out who owns this. Maybe nobody owns this. Could just be a warehouse. Storage. Alright, let's go back into proper Charter Hill. So we had Kiroshi over there, right? Over here we have Dynalar. You can see the logo up there. Dynalar is also a cybernetics company. Dynalar does the skin. So synthetic skin for cyborg bodies is Dynalar. And they are also a high-tech company, although their campus feels a little bit different. Their campus feels a lot less Japanese and more American, if that makes sense. So the buildings are like that. Looks like a convention center in some American city, right? Big curvy shapes like that. And then more big curvy shapes like that. Looks like a theater or something. And you have big shapes like this. Less clean. Less clean and less aesthetically refined than Kiroshi. But it's okay, it serves, alright. The building seems like blockier, thicker, less graceful, and just more blocky. Like a lot of the Japanese stuff in the game has a certain flair to it, and then the American stuff is just thick. Thick and clumsy. This is kind of clumsy, right? Like these shapes here, those shapes there, is a little bit clumsy. Alright, coming back through here, this is the big Kiroshi factory back here. Straddles over the road, a big triangular shape. No idea what's inside. But they don't shy away from blocking the sun from the pedestrians over here. Right, they were more polite over on the other side. But here they're just straddling over the road. Ah, what's with the blue lighting? Very unnatural. Right, you know what I mean, right? When the building does this, it's very unpleasant for pedestrians down below. Whereas if you remember back in the residential part of Charter Hill, everything is wide and open. Oh, and we're back out. So before we finish with Charter Hill, there is one more thing at the side. Doesn't really fit everything else, but I guess I'll point it out too. If I can find it. So coming around here, and no, further along. What is this actually? Some sort of industrial thing? Ah, no, not here, my bad. Coming around. Oh hey, there's an Arasaka logo. Just an advert, I think. Okay, coming around here. And down to the riverside. And then into some sewers. Underneath Charter Hill. We have a little Tiger Claws establishment down here. They actually punched a hole through the wall. Tiger Claws logo again. Into here we have an underground casino. Underground casino in Night City. Alright, so what the hell is this? So Tiger Claws is a Japanese gang, right? And Japantown is Japan themed, right? In Japan, gambling is illegal. There are no casinos in Japan. And so what happens is, in Japan, all the casinos are run by criminal gangs. Because they are illegal establishments. People still want to gamble. And so there are still underground casinos. So in Japan, this makes sense because they're, this is not legal, so they're run by criminals. In Night City though, gambling is not illegal. So this doesn't make sense at all in Night City. In Night City, you can just open a casino above ground and nobody cares. So in Japan, if you tell people you have to go down into the sewers to gamble, they'll put up with it because, you know, they understand it's you know, it has to be underground. But in Night City, this really doesn't make sense. But because Tiger Claws is a Japanese gang, and in Japan there's illegal casinos, and because we are in a cyberpunk world, we want Japanese influenced things, and so then, oh, we have a Japanese gang with an underground casino in Cyberpunk. If you don't think about it, okay, you just, oh, what they have, you know, they have underground casinos in Japan, let's put underground casinos here as well. No, but this is America. Gambling is legal in America, so you don't need to do this. Anyway, it's a piece of specifically Japanese culture, Japanese criminal culture, that's been transplanted into the game in a way that doesn't make sense. And it's not a great casino, because, you know, you like, what do you expect? It's an illegal establishment, and the people here aren't here for the architecture anyway. They're here for the gambling, right? So it's just like a dark, smoky, dirty hole in the ground where you get to gamble. Alright, let's get back out. Illegal gambling dens. It's not just Japan too, right? Gambling is mostly illegal in Korea as well. Hong Kong? Hong Kong's interesting. I don't know if... I think gambling is heavily restricted in China as well. So in China, the situation is there are no casinos in Hong Kong. I don't think there are many casinos in mainland China. But in Macau, gambling is legal. Right? Hong Kong was British territory. Macau was Portuguese territory. And the Portuguese decided that gambling is okay for them. And so everybody in Hong Kong who wanted to gamble would take a boat over to Macau and gamble. So they're close enough together that the gambling fiends can just go next door to gamble. So it's illegal, you know, in Hong Kong, but there is a legal casino right next door. So that's what happened in Hong Kong. I mean, like, whenever you make something illegal, you're just creating opportunities for somebody else to do things illegally and make money that way. Just like here. Oh, well, no, like in Japan, I guess. In Japan, because gambling is illegal, the gangs take over that business. And they kind of do it anyway. Although I guess fewer people go gamble because you don't want to risk being caught. But they still exist, and some people still gamble, is what I mean. Anyway, that is Charter Hill. It's a very expensive...
Wait!
What the... It's a very expensive, very clean, upper-class residential neighborhood with a lot of cops. And I guess there's hotels too. And this is like as clean and as safe and as normal as Night City is ever gonna be. But it's also kind of sterile, right? There's not much soul, not much spirit or character. Everything's just shiny and clean and doesn't really say anything controversial. And then at the southern edge there's some high-tech campuses for Kiroshi and Dynalar. And that's Charter Hill, alright. Honestly, not that interesting, right? It looks very nice and not that interesting. But I think the purpose for Charter Hill to exist in the game is to provide that contrast with the other parts of the city. The other parts of the city are very interesting, but they're also like dirty and dangerous
So I'm letting
and kind of dystopian and depressing. And so like the dystopia only makes sense, really, in contrast to what could be, which is Charter Hill. Charter Hill is what could be if people cared to clean up the city, right? So this is what a city should be. And having this allows us to understand how the other parts of the city are wrong, or dangerous, or bad. Alright, so let me end the video here this time. Next time we're going over to Arroyo. Arroyo is a big sprawling industrial area to the south of the city. See you next time.